Hey, everybody. Welcome to What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Amy.
And this is Margaret. And today, friends, we are talking about low-stakes conspiracy theories.
Super
I'm laughing already.
low. The example that I came up with when I put this in our Facebook group for post was that the closed door button on the elevators doesn't actually work. Like you can press it, but it's useless. It's just there to make you feel like you're making something happen.
Absolutely, I believe that to be true.
Yeah.
I think I am a person who tends towards not really conspiracy theories, but like ghost in the machine, we call it. Like there's a reason why this thing is happening, and it's because my computer is eating my something. You know what I mean? My computer is eating my podcast downloads or whatever it happens to be. Like I think that the machines are after me.
Okay.
And the door closed button does not do anything.
What about the cross street, the like pedestrian button?
Probably, I would say 90% of them do nothing. The only ones that probably do anything are the ones where no one ever crosses there. But if people cross there regularly, it doesn't do anything.
I mean, of course, like even if any of them ever work with everybody going like ding, 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 ding and pushing it 100 times, like you've broken it. So thanks. Now it doesn't work for the rest of us.
I was once late for, I think, a job interview in New York City. Go to this like old building, run in, and like I'm nervous, my job interview. So I'm hitting the button like, come on, come on, come on. And then 5 seconds later, it's not there. So I'm like, come on, come on, come on. And I must have hit it 175,000 times to try to make myself feel better that I was late. And then it opens and there was an elevator operator and I was buzzing in his ear 175 times. And he read me the riot act. He was so mad at me. And I thought, is it really up to me to know that there's still elevator operators in Manhattan?
Right.
This was probably 25 years ago.
No,
but
there's still some. Yeah.
Let me tell you, I didn't get the job. I think I might have just run away and crying and given up on the job because the guy was so mad at me.
So look, sometimes there are good reasons these things might be happening, but we're more interested in the conspiracy version. All right. Like this first example we have is the perfect example of this. There might be a good reason, and we only want to have the conspiracy theory version.
Yeah,
Emily,
please don't write in and be like, actually.
Yeah, this isn't actually. So Emily came in and said her low stakes conspiracy theory is that the McDonald's ice cream machines are not actually always broken, quote unquote. Always
they just
broken.
don't want to make you. I mean, I definitely waited a lot of tables where my cappuccino machine was broken because if I was slammed in my station, I'm not making a cappuccino. Well, that's not happening.
That's Emily's belief. Heather came in and said, actually, that is due to the monopoly of the error-prone, hard-to-get-a-repair person for Taylor ice cream model that McDonald's uses in its stores. And Emily was like, the conspiracy theory is that workers just say that to avoid making ice cream cones and shakes. I think Heather's probably right, and so is Emily. They're both
certainly
both
possible. Right. As one of my young children was, I'm going to say, addicted to, just extremely invested in. I'm going to admit that we go to McDonald's on Friday nights, as we did growing up in my family.
We know that.
Friday
You've
night,
told us that.
McDonald's
Yeah,
night.
you like McDonald's.
People have since been really like, not people on the podcast, but people in my life are like, you go to McDonald's once a week? That doesn't seem that abnormal to me, but apparently it is. Apparently it's gross. But we do it because we're gross people.
Don't even say that. Go back. Take out the part about being gross, Christy, because you never know. I mean, McDonald's could hear this. And
that's right. That's right.
So
maybe they want to sponsor us. Okay. But we do. We go every week. And one of my kids was, the highlight of their week was the vanilla milkshake that went with the Happy Meal. And I lived and died by whether or not the ice cream machine was broken. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, when it's broken for a month.
Right. I mean, then Heather's right. There's a guy with a thing and a part, and but still, they don't feel like doing it.
There is some sort of, if you Google this, there is definitely a reason why McDonald's sourced their ice cream machines from like one guy, and now the guy can't keep up with all the machines. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is.
I'll watch that documentary when it comes out.
I mean, there's going to soon be a 12-part investigative podcast about McDonald's ice cream machines.
But here's a good one. Ashley says, I am convinced that resetting the Wi-Fi router does nothing.
Well, let me tell you, Ashley, don't ever talk to my husband because his only solution is turn it off and turn it back on. And I'm going to say it works 60% of the time.
I was going to say it works sometimes. It definitely works sometimes.
Yeah, turn it off and turn it back on. It's
for
just
everything.
He's an engineer, and that's it. I mean,
it's not just turning it off; it's the unplugging. Right? Like I've even seen that meme. Like, are you having a bad day? Don't forget to unplug yourself. And then, how long has it been since you? Or it's like powering down the computer. I never power down my Mac. I put it to sleep, but I don't power it down.
You have to
until
power
it
it.
starts
They
to
told me
glitch.
that at the Mac store.
Yes,
but maybe it's a conspiracy.
Maybe that's.
But
a conspiracy. I don't believe them now.
You talked a while back on the podcast about your metaphor of the slow blinking light. That you go into slow blinking light mode.
Right. You're not off.
And I say that to my husband all the time, that I'm in slow blinking light mode. And it's a great metaphor because it really says something. It's like, oh, I get it. I know what slow blinking light mode is.
Right. If somebody falls down the stairs, you're available. But other than that, you're kind of asleep.
Don't power me back on. I'm in slow blinking light mode. Maybe this whole month.
Daz says, she believes that none of the phone answering systems that say, please listen carefully as our options have recently changed, have changed any of their options in the recent past.
Agree. I mean, this is 100% true.
Right.
They have not changed their options. What is the upside of that, though?
I don't know. Right. Like what default script somewhere in 1986 said our options have recently changed?
You know what I bet it is? Because I've seen on TikTok the woman who does a lot of those voices. And she's like,
yes,
you might recognize my voice. And she's like, our options have recently changed. Probably you buy in bulk the whole package and that's on there. You know? That's
I don't believe it. I don't believe them anymore.
No, their options have not recently changed. It's a lie. And then the other one that drives me crazy, although it's not really a conspiracy theory. This just happened to me yesterday, Amy. I was on with the bank trying to change something. And you talk to 3 different people. Somebody at work was like, oh, what did you do with your day? I'm like, I had to change my zip code at the bank. And that was 3 hours. That was my day, basically. That was my whole work day was basically, can I change the zip code on a bank account? I spoke to 9 different people about it. And at the end of every conversation with the person who did not change my zip code on the bank, they would say, is there anything else I could do to help you? Right. And I just don't want to yell at somebody who is just doing their job.
Is just reading a script, right.
But I do sometimes find myself screaming, you would have had to have helped me at all for that phrase to be relevant to this conversation. Is there anything
circle the word
else I can help you with? No, there's nothing else you can help me with. You've never helped me at all.
Nate says, I think airplane mode is a hoax because they don't want you texting your friends on the plane and telling them how you're not having fun. I think this has actually been proven. They don't want you talking. I am team airplane mode. Like, please, I do not want people on their speaker phones.
Is it an Goldilocks problem that I find people talking on their cell phones so unbelievably rude? Like, I was in a waiting room the other day and one person was talking on their cell phone and I was just staring at them, mouth agape, like, are we monsters? Are we just going to have, and I guess it is different than having a conversation with the person next to you.
Yes, it is. Because studies have shown that one-sided, they do talk louder because you can't hear yourself, but know that the brain of the eavesdropper, the unwilling eavesdropper, you're sitting there prisoner to their conversation, that it is
the eaves prisoner.
That your brain must pay more attention to the one-sided conversation that you're hearing because your brain can't help you like, okay, and so now I think the other person is saying that. Like your brain is trying to categorize the conversation as you go. If it's just 2 people talking about how, oh, have you ever been to Bronx Botanical Gardens? It's really lovely this time of year. You can tune it out, but if somebody's yelling that into a phone and you're only hearing one side of the conversation, that's harder for you to not pay attention.
It's abject misery. It's abject misery. I just find, and I think that I want us as a society to agree that we don't have cell phone conversations in public, but maybe that's not possible.
Or speaker. I mean, I ride the subway a lot, as you know. The people that use speaker phones, including like to watch a stupid video, from... I'm talking from like Times Square all the way into Brooklyn, like watching a tinny video on their phone. With
monsters.
On speakerphone. I know.
Let's get it together, people.
That's not really a conspiracy theory. That's just something I wanted to tell you.
My conspiracy theory is that all people were born to annoy me, and they're doing an amazing job.
And they're all riding the subway.
Nailing it, guys. You're nailing it.
Tara Lynn says, I don't believe that the recycle bins at most stores, restaurants, and amusement parks are actually getting recycled. They put the blue bin there to make me feel better, but I suspect it's all getting tossed.
I have a very bad feeling that you can do this with almost all recycling.
Yes.
I think that the recycling is not helping, and we want to believe it is. I went to a lecture once all about this. It was depressing.
Right. Don't tell me. Like, I rinse out my plastics and I think I'm being so virtuous.
Good.
And I love a nice big bag of cleaned out recycling every 2 weeks. I'm like, how I saved the world those 18 times, but it's just going to go in the
I'm going to
garbage.
let you
Don't
have
tell me
that, Amy. I'm going to
Don't
let you
tell me that.
have your little sad delusion.
It makes me sad. Natalie, this is important, you guys. Natalie says, I think there are 3 actual flavors of original Cheez-Its, not 1. Every time I buy a box, it's a toss-up between perfect, no salt, and slightly burnt. Each Cheez-It has a distinct taste, and it drives me insane. I know what she's talking about.
Wait a minute. I don't eat Cheez-It, so let me double click on this.
Uh-huh.
Let me dig deep. Before I listen to the 12-episode podcast, Cheez-It Investigation, is your point that every Cheez-It in the box tastes different? Or
Yes.
is your point that it's not that you get a good box or a bad box?
No, it's that within one box of original Cheez-Its, you're going to get 3 different flavors when you bite in. Even though they're all supposed to taste the same, they do, in fact, not taste the same. I mean, I have never broken it down like Natalie. I'm like, this
She's
one tastes
really
kind of burny.
deep in
This one
Cheez-It conspiracy theories.
So her perfect. So she's clearly like choosing favorites here. The first flavor is perfect. The second
Yes.
flavor is no salt.
Horrible.
And the third one is slightly burnt.
No.
And how are they all ending up in the same box? I mean, it's better than a whole box of slightly burnt, but so it's like, it's distracting because you're eating, what flavor of original Cheez-It am I supposed to get? There's not one flavor?
I guess not, but they did a study at some point. Are you aware of this? That Fruit Loops, while they come in 5 colors, they're all the same flavor.
No
There's no
kidding.
flavor difference in Fruit Loops.
My son did a great science fair project back in the day, grade school science fair project, where he blindfolded people. He had people drink different sodas, like a Shirley
Yes.
Temple and a this and another, and it was all the same. It was the same soda. He just put different food coloring in it, and then he blindfolded them, and of course they all thought it tasted different when they could look at it, and then they all recognized it as the same thing when they were blindfolded. Yeah.
Well, he should have taken down big Fruit Loop, because let me tell you, it's all the same.
Are you telling me
flavor.
there's not actual grape juice, lemon juice, lime juice? There's not actual
I mean,
citrus?
the word
in the
fruit,
grapefruit
the term fruit in Fruit Loop is probably not,
spelled wrong.
has no bearing. It's like when they do those studies that, I don't know, like certain foods don't have any actual, and we talked about it on the podcast with something else, like
A cheese
just
food.
keep it to yourself. I don't
Yeah,
need to know
yeah.
that Cheese Whiz has never met a dairy product.
Oh, is that why they spell it differently?
I don't know,
It
but I
is.
know that there's constantly lawsuits where it's like there's not enough tuna in my tuna sub from some big sandwich
Mhm.
chain. And I'm like,
Never
I don't
said.
care. I don't go there if I want like wild caught salmon, I'm not going to, the national chain
yeah.
sandwich shop.
Cheez-Its, it is spelled with a Cheez.
Yeah, so they don't need to have cheese.
Yes.
They have cheese.
Yeah.
They're not making you promises they can't
Right.
keep.
Right. Okay. Well, anyway.
Amy, we'll be back with even more low-stakes conspiracy theories. Tiffany says, gum is designed to lose flavor quickly, so you have to get more gum.
I feel like these days, this is more and more true. These days, if I put a piece of gum in my mouth, 20 seconds later, I'm like, where can I spit out this flavorless wax?
Well, speaking of Fruit Loops, they recently discontinued a gum called Fruit Stripe gum. It had a
I
zebra
loved-
on the packaging.
I
This is
loved
from
it.
back in our day.
Back in the,
And
yes,
I
I'm
was
getting
involved
joy chills,
in a
yes.
lengthy Facebook debate about the death of Fruit Stripe gum. Many people taking the position that Fruit Stripe gum was just like wet cardboard with a hint of a flavor that lasted 8 seconds. And I was like, correct. And we loved it. Like, I don't
Oh.
know why it was so wrong and so right. But nobody is saying Fruit Stripe gum was good, but we are going to miss it.
Fruit stripe gum. That is a
Good times,
throwback.
great memories.
Throwback. And so is the game Operation, which I think is still around. But remember the game Operation? Kristen said that electroshock therapied the people who played it into not seeking medical attention for minor ailments and injuries in the future. It was
Wait, explain this one to me. It was teaching you not to seek medical help?
It was giving us electroshock treatments to decondition our pain receptors for minor.
I love this one. It's so great. I hope Operation is still around. That was the greatest of all the games.
Yes.
I mean, what were we doing?
Yeah.
It was electric.
You're using like little tweezers to pull out his bones.
Yeah, his funny bone specifically. All the different parts of him.
It takes a very steady hand, and then you get like the minorest of shocks if your little tweezers touch the side.
Let me stop you there because I have to speak in behalf of Operation. It did not actually shock you. It just made a loud noise.
Oh, it didn't actually like buzz your hand? I guess it did.
It did not actually.
All right, Kristen, I'm not sure I agree with you.
I mean, whoever, Mattel or Big Operation, I don't want them to shut down this podcast.
Hasbro. It was Hasbro.
It did not deliver an actual electric shock. It just, although what did was, remember the gum? It was fake gum, and when you pulled it out, it would mousetrap on your finger. It's like prank gum.
Yes.
The worst.
Like everything from the back of magazines. Yeah.
Still traumatized.
This is one that I think everybody can get behind. Cheryl says printer ink cartridges are programmed to become low or empty after a certain time, no matter how much ink is actually left in them. Totally true. You can print like 25 more pages when it says
there is a term for this, which is planned obsolescence. And it's right? I mean, how many computers have I had where it breaks and I'm like, oh, when was the warranty up on this? And I look and it was 6 weeks beforehand. Like
72 hours.
They must be planned to explode the minute the warranty is up on them. So you have to go get a new one.
Yeah. Yeah. Printer ink stinks. And when you put in a new ink cartridge, this happens in my printer anyway, and it's like, don't you want to align the printer? And like, no. And you have to scan a page. You have to print a color page that uses like huge blocks of every color. Uses half the ink before it will let me print something else. Like, I don't even need color ink. You just won't let me turn on the printer without it. So now you're using it all up on the quote unquote test page.
It feels like printer technology. We are currently in a phase where my husband's traveling for work and I can't get any of the 3 printers in the house to print anything. And I feel that printer technology, my two beefs, printer technology and exiting airlines. Like, we got to get better at these things, guys. We've been doing it the same horrible way forever now. And it's time to figure out a better way to get off the airplane. And it's time to figure out a working printer.
That's my low stakes conspiracy theory, is they're not really doing anything up there. That weird, like, you get to the gate and then it's like, let's just all stand around while you do whatever. They're not doing anything. They're like, let's see how long we can stretch this out.
Yeah, stall.
Right. Don't open the door.
What
are they doing up there? What are they doing?
Oh, there's so much with airlines that's like, I'm afraid we can't allow you to. I was recently on a flight, got on kind of having to use the facilities, which is not a great idea, having had 3 children at my age. When it's time to go, you should go.
Yeah.
But I was like, I got kind of settled in my seat. I'll go when we take off. Then, of course, we hit hour and a half of bumps, seatbelt signs on. And then they start serving drinks. And I said to the flight attendant, sir, I am going to the bathroom. Like, at a certain point, it's just a question of where
You've been a citizen of the plane for long enough. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're serving drinks. Like, I think the danger is not so epic that I can't get to the bathroom. And he said, well, I'm not going to say it's okay, but no one's going to tackle you if you try to use the bathroom, basically. And I think a lot of that is like, we don't need people wandering around.
Right.
Keep them in their seats.
Yeah. Seatbelt sign is still on.
Let's just go with that.
For mysterious reasons. Stacy says she doesn't think hungry hippos are actually that hungry.
That's a lie, Stacy. I've seen those things eat those pellets. They're hungry hippos.
I saw a meme. I got to do this like at our next Thanksgiving or something. It was like
real life hungry.
This real life, yeah. Like they like you're
I've seen it with adults.
Like your brother or whatever, like picking up his legs, and he's got to like walk into the center of the room and like pick up something with his mouth.
It's really funny. Google real life hungry hippos if you need an afternoon lunch. Kate says most chapstick is actually made to make your lips more dry after 7 minutes.
It's true.
There is studies about this, that using lip balm makes your lips drier.
Do you feel like all of them? I feel like there's certain ones I won't use.
I think it was certain ones. And I don't think chapstick was actually implicated in it, but there are certain things, like you train your body not to produce lanolin or whatever the thing is that moistens your lips.
Chapstick, Chapstick is getting the blame here, but it's being used as the, like, what's the word for the
Xerox.
thing?
Yeah, Kleenex.
Yeah, the Kleenex, that it comes to mean
it's the generic word for it.
It becomes the name for the category. No, but like the ones that have, oh God, what's the stuff that makes your menthol? The ones that have menthol in them and make your lips like burn a little bit. Those are the ones that are really, you're just creating a lip balm dependency there. That's what you're doing. Big lip balm.
I like this one. It's kind of a shout back to fruit stripe gum. Megan says, I have a theory that no one actually enjoys LaCroix. It's just that the cans are pretty.
I don't enjoy LaCroix. I've tried it and I'm like, what am I missing?
What I end up doing is I don't get any of the flavored seltzers. And then recently, I'm not going to name names because they didn't fool me. But I got a seltzer that's like full flavored of the fruit. And it really grossed me out. It's like, okay, that's too much flavor.
Now it's too much flavor. Yeah.
But LaCroix is definitely not enough flavor. So where is that sweet spot? I have not yet found it because I don't want my seltzer to taste like.
You don't want it to taste like a marker. You don't
want
it to taste
that's
like a
what
candle.
It tasted like. It tasted like one of those like smelly red markers.
It smells like either of those things. Yeah,
not in a good way. You would think that would be delicious.
I like Spindrifts and Ahas. I feel like those are the good middle of the road, somewhat flavored.
I'm just stuck over here with my Diet Cokes. And do I really want to change? No.
Oh boy, Melanie, I don't really have an opinion on this, but I'm sure you will. Melanie says that on Jeopardy, she believes that they can control when the Daily Doubles show up.
Melanie, how dare you? Jeopardy is above board, Melanie. To accuse Jeopardy of such a thing. I know why she thinks that, but could it be true? It could be. But I mean, if you've ever seen the movie Quiz Show, which you haven't because it came out like 30 years ago.
Oh, that's a good movie though, but watch it, everybody.
Good movie, but it's about a scandal. Quiz shows actually have to abide by certain laws, because it used to be that they would fix quiz shows to make them interesting. And there was this huge scandal about fixing a quiz show.
But that was giving people the answers, right? This is just they're just throwing it to one contestant.
Yeah, but even still, you can't mess around. You can't mess around. You set the rules. You got to do it by the rules.
There's this, I think you should leave sketch where there's about a game show and there's a character named Chunky that comes out sometimes. It's kind of like the Daily Double. And except when he hits when you hit a Chunky, this character comes out and like does something like lovable and, and causes misrule to happen on the set. And it starts to happen that the guy, the host of the game during the sketch, just starts saying, that's a Chunky, that's a Chunky, as soon as somebody calls out a square. And they're all Chunkies, and he knows where they are because he put them there. So that's probably what gave Melanie this idea. Maybe this is what
started this scandal.
Yeah, that's a Chunky. Jamie says that Black Friday deals are regular deals. I don't know if I agree with this one.
Probably not Black Friday, but I mean, I have beefed about this before. Just tell me how much it costs. Mm-hmm. I don't want to run around and find 86 coupons. See, I think a lot of people do like that experience.
Yeah.
But I just want to know how much it costs. I'll pay you what it costs. But I don't want to run around and have to get 96 coupons and it's $26. But wait, for me, it's $4. It's just, it makes me crazy.
Well, there are certain stores, right, who are just always, everything's on sale all the time. But of course, they're not on sale. The sale price is the price they were hoping to get, and the original price was marked up. Like, unbelievable deal.
Yeah.
These flip-flops are $9.99. It's like, well, they never should have been $14.99. They were always going to be $9.99.
Yeah, I mean, it's marketing. There was definitely a sketch at some point about, because in New York, you have stores and it's like going out of business, And it was the going out of business store's 25th anniversary. And it's like, right, maybe they're not going out of business. You just want to feel like they're going out of business.
I had a store like that in my neighborhood I live in New York City. I've lived in my apartment for almost a decade now. Anyway, right after I moved in, a very, shady store with a bunch of stuff that fell off a truck, it looked like. Spray painted on a sheet going out of business. This was how they literally opened their doors with a spray painted sheet that said going out of business, even though it was their first day open.
Amazing.
And that was their sign. That was their sign.
Well, they were probably right. They were going out of business someday.
Right. Very, very slowly. Aren't we all?
Suzanne and I are going to have major beef. Big Dishwasher is behind all the "you don't need to rinse your dishes" rhetoric because they know it will break your dishwasher faster. Suzanne and I have no beef. She's on my team. I thought when I first read this that she was saying it's okay to not rinse your dishes. The dishwasher, hear me once, people, especially if you're going to spend time in my house. The dishwasher is for sanitizing dishes only. It is not for cleaning dishes.
On a scale of 1 to 100, how clean are the dishes when they go into your dishwasher? Like 80?
96.
Are you using soap in the sink to rinse them off?
Amy, yeah, of course. They're clean. The dish
so you wash the
round
dishes
is
before
for
they go in the dishwasher.
sanitizing only. It just extra cleans them. But I am a super sniffer. I have an incredible sense of smell and taste, which is not always good. But I can be like, something's wrong with this. Like if something's cooked in like day-old oil, I'm like, oh, I can't eat that. Like a banana that is 2 days away from being perfectly ripe, I can't eat it. I have a very strong sense of taste. And I'll tell you that when I go to use a mug, I can smell that it was run in a dishwasher that wasn't clean.
Well, that's the problem. If you leave all the food, I mean, I'm definitely more like 60% clean is good enough, but then you got to go in and clean the filter, the dishwasher, which isn't pleasant. So, you take your pain.
I don't want any part of it. It's like if you were rolling around in mud outside, you wouldn't just throw a muddy pair of pants directly into your washer with clean clothes and
expect it was a heavy-duty washer.
Clean. It's gross. Sanitizing only. So I agree with you, Suzanne. Okay. Big dishwasher.
Okay. Let's take a break. We'll be back with even more low-stakes conspiracy theories. Jamie says no giveaways are actually picked at random. I mean, this is going back to the Daily Double theory, but this is probably true. I mean, you see that kid up there with the fishbowl, pulling out the winner at the holiday party. Come on. They're fishing around for something. They're throwing the game one way or the other.
Yeah, I wouldn't say none, but I would say I cast a very gimlet eye on the grab bag.
Right.
In general, a grab bag, I don't trust it as far as I could throw it.
MT says, I believe that berry companies put one rotting berry in the middle of every package to make the others go bad more quickly, so you have to buy more berries. I mean, I never thought about this, and MT, I'm so mad. You're right. That's exactly what happens.
I just faced this very conundrum this very morning, like a bad berry that was ruining the bunch.
Mm-hmm. If you
berries.
I've started putting berries in glass jars, like old tomato sauce jars. If you get them out of the, plastic clamshell things they come in and put them in glass jars, they will last like 2 weeks. They last so much longer, but you got to get the one rotten one out of the middle first. Take that, berry company.
Why are you giving me more things to do? That's not nice. Sophia says, I think Costco parks fake cars in the parking lot because I've never seen the amount of people inside match the amount of cars in the parking lot. I'm going to tell you that I worked at a big chain restaurant for 1 or 2 years. And this was true, that we definitely always created scarcity. It was supposed to be that there was always a line outside to get into the restaurant. And so even when the restaurant was empty, we held the line. I mean, they did. I mean, of course, the waiters and waitresses were screaming and being like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. We want to wait on tables and make money. But they definitely, we just recently saw this. I was in Chicago walking down they call it Miracle Mile, Michigan Mile, Miracle Mile, I think. The fancy part of Chicago, Michigan Avenue. And there were 2 different restaurants that had a line outside. And then when you looked inside, they weren't that busy. And I thought, they want people to think that their store is so popular that there's always a line to get in. And then what they'll tell you is well, we just sat a bunch of people, so we don't want our staff to get slammed. We have to, seat people quite calmly to make sure that the staff doesn't get overwhelmed. Lies. All lies.
I have a related restaurant theory, which is that they always say it's like a 15, 20-minute wait without even like looking.
Yes.
That's just what they say, right? Because if it's shorter than that, then you'll be like, you told me it was a 5-minute wait and it's been 12 minutes. And if it's longer than that, then you'll just leave. So they tell you the amount that is just long/short enough that you're willing to wait and
that you're willing to. I believe that's true. I will say, having worked in a lot of restaurants, the science behind the wait time, you might as well just like throw bones on the floor and try to read your fortune from them. There is no science at all to the wait line, because what ends up happening is people have a check on their table and they stay for another 40 minutes.
Right.
And then other people look like they're halfway through the meal and they're like, we have a play to catch. Just bring us our check and we'll stand up the second we're finished eating. Very hard to know when people are leaving a table.
Maybe they should ask you. I mean, that would be considered very rude, and say European companies like, how long do you want to sit here? I just a week or two went out to lunch with my sister. She made a reservation. We get to the restaurant and on time, P.S. And they were like, you can have the table, but we're going to need it back in an hour. And we were like, okay. She had to get to school pickup. We weren't going to be that long. Cut to, it's like an hour and 15 minutes later, and she does have to get going to pick up, and we cannot find somebody to bring us the check for love or money. Like, they just sort of said that. So there you go. They don't know what they're doing.
This is a COVID thing that they kind of introduced, and I think the restaurants wanted to keep it, which is you can have this table for 90 minutes. How that was related to nobody getting COVID, I can't even remember what the theory was. I guess the idea was like, if you have COVID, the longer you stay, the more people you're going to give it to. But it made no sense, let's be honest.
Right.
But I think some restaurants, I still will see on a reservation every once in a while, like you have a 7:30 reservation for 90 minutes or something like that. And I think restaurants would love to have that, because they can't do the flip side of it. They can't say to people, you got to leave because we've got people waiting. But as just a general public service announcement from a restaurant person, please look around and don't linger at a table if it's, 8 o'clock and you've eaten already. Just go somewhere else. Get dessert somewhere else. Go to a bar, have a drink. Get out of my table.
Real or fake line outside. Yeah, this is what was funny. Like, when they needed the table back, nobody was bringing us the check, and P.S. the restaurant was empty. Like, this idea that they needed the table back for some, reason of another person needing it.
Special
it was not
reason. They were rude for no reason.
It was like the front of the airplane again. What are you talking about?
If I linger at a table, I almost always say to the server, do you need to turn this table? Because and they'll say, no, you're my last table of the night. I'm like, okay, then we'll sit and relax for a minute. But if you're waiting for, if you're waiting for another shift, I'm getting out of your hair.
Yeah. Jamie says that the top sheet on a kid's bed is a scam. Brought to you by
I haven't used
linen.
Big sheet. I believe company. That all the top sheet plays no role in my life at all. I am a comforter on top of a bottom sheet person. There's no room for a sheet in my life. I don't interact with a sheet.
This goes so opposite to me, but how often do you wash the duvet cover on the comforter?
I don't know. Once every 2 weeks?
Once every 2 weeks. Okay. Yeah. That just seems like a lot of work to wash I'd rather have a top sheet than take the comforter cover off and then put it back on the comforter cover. Like, that's the worst thing that ever happened to me, is getting those covers.
I don't have a comforter cover. I just stick the whole thing in the washing machine. But yeah, my husband does use the sheet. So we do keep a sheet on our bed. But if it was up to me, my bed would be bed sheet, comforter. I don't need a sheet. I don't like the way it feels. I like the comforter cozy on me, not a sheet.
This makes sense. But if you had a duvet cover that you would wash with any regularity, then you'd be like, I need a top sheet, because then that makes it like we wash our duvet covers like once in a while, because there's a sheet between you and it, so it doesn't need to be like, your whatever comes off you when you're sleeping that I'd rather not think about. is not on the comforter.
I don't know. I don't get grossed up on my comforter. It feels permanently clean, but maybe you're
Dishes.
right. I don't know. Like, it's just touching my legs. It's not like I'm not
I don't feel like it's that
getting
big a
up to
deal,
any
but it's funny
business
that
on there.
I don't think it's that hard. Like, the hard part of making a bed is a fitted sheet, and just the top sheet is like, sure, I guess. But people who hate them really
I
hate
mean, if
them.
it was up to me, I would not interact with a top sheet at all. But my husband, I run cold and he runs hot. And so he likes to be under the sheet. We just split. He takes the sheet. I take the comforter. Bada bing, bada boom. We're done. Happy marriage.
Shelley says that Mother's Day is in May in the United States because of all the plant growers and florists, presumably.
I mean,
Maybe.
all that's true. And also all of our major holidays coincide with the equinoxes. And that's also true.
Or unless they were completely made up by greeting card companies, right? Like Grandparents' Day. That's not a celestial.
That's not a real
event, right?
holiday.
That's
But I
just
mean,
a made-up-
Christmas, Easter,
The real-
Hanukkah,
right.
all the major Passover, all the major holidays are co-opted equinox celebrations that we now celebrate as religious holidays. And yes, Mother's Day. I wonder if Valentine's Day has something like that, like why it happens when it does. Maybe it's just because it's the middle
St.
of February
Valentine's,
and it's like
what did you
darkness
guys-
and everyone needs something.
Yeah, we need a little something. But yeah, St. Valentine's, like, I'm not really sure what candy, in parties in second grade had to do with wearing red. Had to do with me, but thanks, everybody.
He's like, but thanks, everyone. Well, friends, we've cracked the code on a host of very, very low-stakes conspiracy theories here. We didn't even get to the fact that Dippin' Dots is not the ice cream of the future. Although it's not, let's be honest. Never was going to be.
Not.
And indeed, it is not the ice
Stop
cream of the
trying
future.
to make that a thing. Nope, it's not. If you loved this show, if you love What Fresh Hell and you want even more of it in your life, consider signing up for What Fresh Hell Plus. When you sign up for What Fresh Hell Plus, you can keep listening to our podcast wherever you usually listen. You don't need a new app or a new thing, but you get all of our episodes ad-free, plus monthly bonus episodes. This month's was about how we travel. Next month, I mean, it's going to be, I don't know what. It's going to be something we really do non-parenting things, as if this one was so parenting related, but like really non-parenting related, super fun episodes. So we'll put the link in the show notes. You can sign up for What Fresh Hell Plus in just a couple of taps. It's $4.99 a month, $39.99 a year, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening, friends. And with that, we'll talk to you next time.
So long.